This video is just going to be a walkthrough of me styling a really simple personal site, just the home page. So this is just to reinforce skills that we've learned, talk about some design stuff, and I'm just going to kind of really calmly talk through as I style this page. So let's take a quick look at our HTML before we get going. We've got our body tag, we've got a header with just a page title and two links. We've got a main element, and let's see, we've got a big H2, kind of our summary statement or our like mission statement right in the middle. We've got a UL with LIs, so I'm thinking this is going to be kind of a grid of projects, and then we've got a footer with the menu in it again. So I'm kind of thinking that these three list items go across the page. This guy is really big and prominent, really straightforward, nothing strange going on here. So the first thing I'm going to do to get started is I want to make a column in the middle of the page that my content's going to go into, and I'm going to go ahead and use flex for that. So display flex, that means that my body is my only flex box. So I'm going to set a flex basis on this, and I'm going to try something. I'm going to try making this 80%, and we'll give this justify content center. So let's take a look at where that puts us. Alright, so I've got my body, it's 80% of my HTML, and justify content center has put it in the middle of the page. That's okay. I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to make this a little bit less wide. So we'll make it 70%, and we'll go with that. Alright, so I'm going to start really broad. We're doing CSS. I like a white background. I'm going to leave my white background. I'm going to go ahead and change my text color to a dark gray, and I'm going to go ahead and set my font size to 24 pixels. I'm thinking Herman Raccoon doesn't have a lot of content on his page, doesn't have a lot of text content, bigger text size. That's going to be fine. So we're going to go from there. Now I've got two fonts from Google Fonts loaded in. So I've picked a serif and a sans serif here. I've copied my embed code here. So I've got Open Sans and Playfair Display. I'm going to set my default font family to the serif, so Playfair Display. And I'll say we're going to fall back on Georgia and serif. So this means use this font. If you're not able to use this font, use this font. Otherwise, just pick any serif. So I'm going to go with this for now. I tend to like my headings to not be bold, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Set my font weight to normal. And then let's go ahead and do our link color just because. So I've got this red color, seems okay for me. I'm just going to copy that, and we'll set our link color to red. All right. So not beautiful, but we are coming along. I'm going to leave the header for now. I'm not quite ready to do that. I want to see a little bit more what this part of the site's going to look like. So I'm going to start working on my list of projects. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is take care of these dots and get some padding and stuff off of these. So I know that UL is called class projects, UL.projects. I'm going to go ahead and padding 0, margin. I know I want some top and bottom margin on that, so I'm going to go ahead and set that to 2rem 0. So a rem again is whatever the font size on my HTML element is, so 24, so this gets 48 pixels top and bottom on my UL, and then my LIs still have these dots on them, so I will say ul.project space li list style type is going to be none. And I'm going to go ahead and clear any padding and margin that's on those for now. All right, so this is going better, and I'm going to go ahead and do my flex on this. So this is going to be my flex container. It contains the things that I want to move around. So ul.projects is going to get display flex. Okay. So that puts them side by side, but obviously not in a way that I want them to be. So I'm going to come into my LIs and set my flex basis. And I know I want a little bit of a gutter between them, so I'm going to set that to 32%. And okay, so this is a good thing to see. So this is all wonky right now. And one thing that I'm seeing is when I set my flex basis, these don't change. And something that you just kind of have to know about how CSS and Flex work is that if I have images in here, I need to have already set those to width 100% in order for my flex basis to work. It's just kind of a thing that we have to do. So I'm going to come back here, get caught up with where I am, added display flex here, I added a flex basis here that's not doing anything yet, and then I'll go ahead and select those images and set those to width 100%, and then we'll take a look at why that does what it does. Okay, so this gets us closer to where I wanted to be, obviously. So I've said the images are going to be 100% of whatever they're inside, okay? These have a flex basis of 32%, so that's 32% of the parent, and the parent is this UL. So these images are now going to be 100% of these LIs, and I'm good. So the only thing I need to do now is justify my content to space between, look at them. I actually really like this spacing here, and I might actually play with a little bit. I usually like narrower gutters, but that looks kind of good. So what if I kind of like fat gutters here. So I'm going to take this flex basis 30%, and I had justify content space between. Okay, so that just kind of helps me see my page and get a better sense of where I am. Just a quick note, if I look at these images, okay, I've sized all of these in Photoshop to be 800 pixels by 500 pixels. And whenever you're doing grids like this, you want to make sure that you crop all your images to the same ratio, right? So just make them all the same. Okay, so this is looking closer. I don't like the spacing here. I don't like how this looks at all, actually. So I have a sans serif font called Open Sans that I'm going to go ahead and put on this ul.projects. So Open Sans, if I don't have Open Sans, I want Helvetica, and if I don't have Helvetica, use any sans serif font. And we'll make sure that applied. Okay, so anything inside ul.projects is going to be this sans serif, and now I'm going to want to go in and do a lot of work to this text because I hate the way it looks right now. So I'm going to go ahead and write blank rules for these so that I can play with them in the inspector. So ul.projects lih3, and then ul.projects lip. And that just lets me target an H3 right here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is take away this spacing so I can play with it. Looks like it is margin. So I'm going to say the margin for these is 0. I actually think that looks fine. They're too big. I don't like the font size. So I'm going to size these in rims. So 1 rim puts me there. 0.8 rims puts me there. 0.9, 0.85. I'm going to go with 0.85 for now and just kind of see how this goes as I play with it. I might do font or text transform to uppercase. and see if I like that. I think maybe I do. So when I'm looking at these, I want them to be like very obviously secondary to this. This is where I want all the attention on this page. Um, and I kind of want them, we almost expect grids to be in a sans serif, so I just kind of want these to be small. They've got images, they're noticeable enough. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over and start playing with these paragraphs. Let's see. So again, these have margin. I'm going to set the margin to 0. And why can I not find my P? Let's see. ul.projects. I misspelled it. Okay. So I'm going to set my margin to 0 here. And then my font size is definitely too big. I want it to be, I think I want it smaller than this. I'm gonna try. So that was 0.85. Let's try 0.7 rims. That's getting about where I want it. I like that a little bit better. And then I'm gonna try fading them out a little bit and seeing if I like that. So 0.66, 777. I like that. I'm going to go with that for now, and we can come back and fine tune this later if we want to, but I'm just kind of working on the big stuff right now. Okay, so where am I? I'm good. This is really the focus of this page. It's what I want people to get when they come here, so I'm going to hold off on that for a little bit, and I'm going to style my header so that I can have a better sense of how all these things are going to interact together. And I want this to be definitely smaller. And let's see, I don't want this to be red. People kind of understand that if you click the title of the page, it's going to be a link. So I'm going to come back and I'll make a section for my header here. And I'm going to say, all right, if there's an H1 in the header, and it's a link, let's go back to our default black color, which is 333. And I'm going to go ahead and take the border off of it. So that's text decoration, none. I'll kind of come back and make sure that it's noticeable enough as a link in a second. I know I'm going to want my font size to be down. I'm just going to set it to 1 rim for now. Okay, so that's closer, and I think what I want to do is to center it. We don't have much here, so I'm just going to put it in the middle right here. So my H1 I can center just by doing text align center, and I think that's fine. And now I'm going to start playing with this. So H1 is going to be text align center, and then inside my header, I believe I need to look at my, so I have a UL and it has LIs inside it. So I'm going to say header UL, and I'm going to go ahead and take my margin and padding off that really quick because I know I'm going to want to. Header space UL LI. I'm going to do list style type none. And I'll go ahead and take any padding and margin off that. I can always put padding and margin back on. It just helps to start with a blank slate. All right, so these I want to be right under here. They don't need to be super big. So I know I'm doing flex. I'm thinking what's my flex container? Okay, it's this UL. So really quickly, display flex. Those go side by side. And how am I going to justify my content? Do I want to center it? I think I do. So if I did something like space around, it's going to put them too far apart for this. If I had more, like if I had 4 items, I might do that. But for now, I'm just going to center it. And I'm going to move this over really quick. And then I'm going to come back and add some margin to my LI. So remember I said we can always adjust this. So I'm going to say top, and then what if we put 1 rim on either side? I actually want them closer together. All right, I like that. These are too big right now. Okay, so this is my H1. It's the most important thing on the page, or it's more important than these. Visually, it doesn't need to be as striking as this because users know that this is the title of the page, so we don't need to really visually announce it quite as much. So let's see, I'm going to say font size. Let's bump these down to 0.8 rem. Yeah, I like that fine. I don't know if I like the I don't know if I like the color on these right now, but I'm gonna leave them for now. So ULLI is here, and I think I actually need to copy more of that because I had set the margin to 0.5 rem. All right, margin 0.5 rem. And the reason I'm using margin here and not padding is because I might come back and decide that these need to have a background color, and I still want that white between them. So largely I like this. This H1, I want to get that margin off. So I still want margin on the top, but I don't want it on the sides and I don't want it on the bottom. So let's say, I'm actually going to do 0, okay? So I'm going to set my header H1 margin to 0. And the reason that I'm doing that instead of putting that margin top on there is because I'm just going to put it on the header. So I'm going to say top and bottom is 2 and left and right is 0. And that way I know that this is equal to this. I kind of like that. That makes me happy. All right, I'm going to totally ignore the footer for right now. No, I'm going to take care of the footer really quick. And the way I'm going to take care of the footer is, the footer I basically want to look just like the header UL. So I'm going to say select the header UL, select the footer UL, select the header UL LI, select the footer UL LI, and all right, I'm pretty good there. I'm going to add some space here because I want to really make that footer stand apart. Like, it doesn't need to be, right now it's distracting from this, and it's really just a functional thing at the bottom of the page. So I'm going to set the margin on it to 4 rem 0. And that's just going to give me my white space here that I want. All right, so I might play with this a little bit more, but I'm liking it so far. And I'm going to play with this section now. This is the most important section of the page. This is the message I want people to get. So I want it to be big, I want it to be noticeable, I want it to match the style of the rest of the site. I'm just going to inspect it and play with a couple things really quick. So I need a rule for main space H2. Okay, so there's a lot of ways I could do this. I could just text align it center, okay? And if I was going to do that, I'd probably make it really big, okay, and add some margin around it. So let's say 3 rem 0, and I want a little bit more on the bottom. So let's say 3 rem 6 rem. Okay, so I actually really like how that looks. Some of this is kind of personal style and how you want to, kind of how you want to present yourself. But I really like this serif font, and I like just making it a really dark gray on white and setting it up with enough white space around it to make it noticeable. So if this was my site, this is actually probably where I would stop because I like it. But let's play with a couple more options just because we're doing stuff. I might try giving it a different color. So what if I bring this red in here? I don't think I'm going to like it, but I'm going to try it. Okay. That looks fine. I don't hate that. I like the black a little bit better. Other things I might do is set the background color to that red and then set the color to white. And if I do that, obviously I need to mess with my padding. So I'm going to say the padding is going to be like that. I think that looks fine. If I was going to do it, I would take the margin off the bottom here because I want to emphasize that this is lined up here, and I want this to feel like one block, and then these are blocks under it. So it's kind of like almost like a stack of blocks, like a little castle. So I would come down to something like this. I think this looks roughly equal to this. It's not going to be exactly, but that's fine. So that's one option that you could do. I'm going to put it back just the way we had it. So I'm going to make this 6 again. I'm going to kill the background color, and I'm just going to delete it because I don't want it there. I'm going to take away the padding, and I'm going to take away the color because we don't want that either. So now we come back here and I'll transfer this. There. Okay, so looking at this, I really like how this looks quite a lot. I might play with a different sans serif font if I was really going to do this, but right now it's good. I think the footer's absolutely fine. The only thing that's really bothering me are the underlines on these links, but I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to call this done. So just a really quick video, mainly thinking about what's important on this page. How do I want to visually indicate that to the reader, the user?